republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so our first item is items of interest, recognition, and inquiry. Board of Education members. Does anybody have anything this evening?
I have just one thing. I wanted to congratulate the St. Clair High School student, Ann Harris, who was a recipient of $20,000. She is the student of Amanda Lipke, who teaches financial management at St. Clair High. And I believe, I could be wrong on the timeline, but I think in the last 3 years, Amanda's students have won over $300,000 in scholarship money. So something our district needs to be proud of. So, along with all the other things that I know Nancy Mott is here, and I'm sure she's going to update us, but just proud of everything that everybody does. So, thank you.
Anybody else?
I do.
Okay.
I just wanted to make mention that tomorrow night here in the boardroom, Dave Alley, who's a Homeland Security Investigation Special Agent, one of our parents in the district, is hosting Internet Social Media Awareness Evening tomorrow night, 6:30 here, and this is hosted by both of our middle school counseling offices, and I wanted to thank them for putting this together and for Mr. David Alley lending his expertise to this area that I think parents need to make themselves as informed as possible on internet social media awareness. So thank you.
All right, thanks. Okay, our next item is the academic spotlight, and Eddy Elementary, I understand, will be presenting at our April board meeting. So
Yes.
at this time, we will have Riverview East High School.
Good evening, President Frank, Superintendent Sybula, and members of the board. It's our pleasure to be here this evening. First, I wanted to introduce you to some of the Riverview East High School family. With me tonight is David DeFort, one of our amazing students, and Sandy Sladowski, who is our new social emotional interventionist. And also here with us is Ray. She's our therapy dog who spends time with us at school and in the classroom. So tonight, we wanted to talk about something that we face on a regular basis at Riverview East and really in society, and that's stigma. So when we talk about stigma, stigma is really a mark of disgrace associated with a circumstance or a person. And obviously nobody wants to associate disgrace with anything that they feel is important. Two things that we battle in regards to stigma is alternative education and sometimes the misconception or misinformation that surrounds what alternative education really is. And something that really goes hand in hand with education is mental health and mental well-being. So when we talk about alternative, especially when it comes to alternative education, alternative simply means another possibility. So it's just another way of looking at things, and sometimes in a more challenging way, but it's finding the best possible opportunities, the best possible solution to achieve what we want to achieve. We have the same expectations, we have the same goals as any other high school. We have the same graduation requirements. In some cases, we have higher expectations. In regards to students passing classes, they have to maintain at least a 70% or better. We don't settle for less. Our mountain looks a little different. You know, at our school, teachers are on a first-name basis with students. It helps develop relationships and trust. We're on a different schedule. We're on trimesters, which allows students to recover credits that they may have fallen behind. Our days, fewer classes, longer classes, which allows us to spend more time at school with the support that students need to be successful, and we eliminate homework. So there's certain things that are built in that just assure that students are going to be successful, and often it's things that have stood in their way in the past. So our goal is to keep moving forward towards that peak. We want students to live a happy, healthy, and meaningful life. And when we compare that to another peak, when we look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that's the foundation. That's what students need. That's what we need to be happy, healthy, and successful in life. And sometimes there are obstacles when climbing that mountain that just slow us down or cause us to take a different route. Sometimes our students face hardships, challenges in life. Sometimes they're buried under an avalanche of adversity, and they have to dig out from that, and we're there to help them. So there are things that get in our way and prevent us from getting to that top, to that self-actualization and that living a meaningful life. And when we look at society today, almost 50% of adolescents qualify for some sort of mental health disorder or challenge. It's astounding. And there's a stigma that surrounds that. People are shamed because there's something different or something that presents itself as a challenge in life. And we can't ignore it. We can't sweep it under the rug. It has to be addressed in order to create that foundation so that our students can continue to climb that and reach that peak. So what we find is a fundamental part of our program is social emotional learning. It's those things at the very base of that peak that have to be in place in order for students, number one, to show up to school, to be happy, to be healthy, to feel safe. Once those things are in place, then they can be challenged to the appropriate level and be given the educational opportunities that they truly deserve. Some months back, I ran into Deb Johnson, who is the in charge of St. Clair County Community Mental Health, and she introduced me to a program that had been piloted in just a few states around the country and only a couple of schools in the state of Michigan. The program is called Prepare You. It's a mental health curriculum that in some cases has taken place of traditional health classes where students can earn credit, but we felt so driven by this opportunity that we did it just because we knew we had to. We took time out of our day, we sacrificed class time and sometimes content. We struggled through snow days and substitute teachers and rescheduling to make it happen. But we ran 15 sessions, each just over an hour long. And we covered topics from processing anger, to decreasing anxiety, to developing healthy relationships, managing social media, suicide, and some really heavy topics. It was not a pretty sight. It was not what we were comfortable with. It was not what we were used to. Teachers were asked to step out of their comfort zone and be in this process with the students. A lot of students rejected it. Some simply said it was stupid. Some of the teachers had a difficult time with it because, again, they were talking about things that are uncomfortable, that have a stigma. But in the end, we found that even those toughest students, the ones that rejected it, were reaching out to peers through social media or by texting, saying, hey, I heard you. I'm here for you. I can relate to you. We had students who shared things that are mind-blowing, earth-shattering, things that we don't know about our students, but when we do know them, we're more enabled and more empowered to help them through life, through school, and get them to the peak and the top of the mountain where we expect and want them to be. So David here talked to some other students, gathered some of their thoughts on the program, just to give you a little insight in regards to what they thought in the beginning and once the program had ended.
Hello, my name is David, and I'm here today to talk about the Prepare You mental health program. Our school recently went through what I feel that this program, while not for everyone, is very useful and a helpful program. When I first heard of it, my first thoughts was, this is stupid, I really don't want to do this. As we progressed as a group, I found myself sharing and being more optimistic about this program. I was also able to understand and know students and staff on a deeper level than before. I also took the opportunity to speak with some fellow students about their thoughts on this program. Sam Huffman had said, at first I thought this was kind of stupid and I went along with it, and coming out of it I thought it needed some more work near the end. It helped many open up and be more emotional for better or worse. Another student, Maya Adams, said, Prepare You was an interesting experience. Even though I myself didn't feel comfortable sharing, it was nice to see how other students' lives are and to hear things that we would never know about our classmates. It was great to see classmates I'd never talked to express their fears and actually talk to each other and interact. Genevieve Gohl said, I thought it was ridiculous at first, but I was still excited and thought no one would like it. Coming out of it, I was grateful in the opportunity, and it helped me through a lot.
So I had one more student that wanted to come tonight and share her testimony. But as you're about to hear, it's a pretty difficult thing to share. But she did say that it was okay to share with you tonight. She wanted to share it herself. But again, once you hear this, you'll understand just some of the difficult things that our students share through this program. When I first began participating in the new program known as Prepare You, I had just had a major event take place in my life that revolved around my personal mental health. Jurassic event, if that. I was voluntarily petitioned into a mental facility for 8 days. This was the result of a suicide attempt. Jason and I often spoke about my daily battles with mental health because it isn't acknowledged in my household. It is very rare for me to have a level of comfortability with a man especially. Something about Jason's presence and just the way he carries himself assures me that without a doubt he cares about every one of his students, not just academically but overall. He, unlike many other principals, understood that mental health is an unrecognized epidemic among teens everywhere. These are problems that we are battling alone. They are difficult and frustrating for everyone. They are restricting us from our education. How are we supposed to go to school and learn when we can't even get out of bed or even shower? He took a risk on Prepare You, given that we are rambunctious teens. Considering not everyone suffers from mental health and shouldn't expect the whole school's full participation. Data says 1 in 5 teens suffer from a mental disorder. I wonder how many teens suffer in silence. Jason was probably asking himself the same question. I hated the concept of this program when it first began. I had just spent days in group therapy talking about my emotions and triggers. Gosh, I swear the word trigger became my biggest trigger. I hated the fact that my rights were taken from me in the hospital. So you can imagine my resentment towards the program when I found out that they would be confiscating our phone for the entire hour. Once I finally stopped being so closed-minded, I started to get something from the group. I shared my opinions on the topics of mental health, and my peers and my teachers did as well. Seeing the diversity of lifestyle and struggle within my group, the whole school as well. It opened my eyes, showing me I'm not alone and I can learn and prosper from my bad situations in life. Mental health is unrecognized by many. Hopefully this program can help other struggling individuals as it did me. So, again, this is just one piece of the puzzle that makes us who we are. We always try to keep what's best for our students at mind. We listen, and we try to do what's best for them and helping them get to that peak. So not only are we trying to move that needle in mental health at Riverview East, but we encourage you to open that conversation as well and support our teens where they need us most. Just to end, Riverview East High School, our mission is to enable students to understand the world around them, the talents within them, so that they can become fulfilled individuals and active, compassionate citizens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Are there any questions?
Thank you, David.
I have a question for David.
Yeah.
What made you change from thinking it was, silly to finding it important?
Honestly, it was hearing kind of what fellow students around me were going through, and it gave me some tools to deal with some things. It kind of taught me a lot more how to help my friends
Good.
and those around me.
That's really good. Thank you.
How are you using the therapy dog in school?
She comes to school about once or twice a week with us, and she's simply there for the support, for the love that only a dog can provide. We visit classrooms during tests, during exams, during high-stress periods, and again, it just kind of takes your mind somewhere where it's comfortable.
Thank you so much. What a great program.
Thank
Really good
Thank you.
program.
Okay, our next item is the consent agenda. A motion is needed for approval of the minutes from our regular meeting from February 25th, approval of payment of bills, financial statement, and schedule of investments.
So moved.
Support?
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. All right, item number 5 is recognition of persons wishing to address the board. The first green card I have this evening is Nancy Mott from ECEA.
Good evening, President Frank, Superintendent Cybula, and members of the board, and Mr. Distelrath. Okay. My name is Nancy Mott, and I'm a proud member of the ECEA and a math teacher at St. Clair Middle School. And here this evening, I am ready to share exciting classroom experiences and activities that have been happening in our schools this past month. Palms had goodies with grandparents on Wednesday, March 13th. Grandparents brought their grandkids to school for donuts, coffee, and juice, and they had the opportunity to shop at the book fair with them. 7 Pine River students from Gary Griffin's class competed in the Flint Regional Science Fair. Those students were, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced their names, Lily Hack, James Grubin, Molly McNabb, Ava Betcher, Haley Baylock, Ben Harwood, and Amaya Graybert. They all competed, and they had 3rd place, 4th place, and 5th place finishes, and all the students had incredible projects. Palms Elementary had a coin challenge to raise money for classroom books. The kids had a lot of fun trying to beat out the other classes for the most points. Tina Provost's kindergarten class got the most points and earned a pizza party. And all the money that the kids raised in their coin challenge was given back to the teachers to buy books, classroom books from the book fair for their classrooms. Bell River students participated in STEAM activities, which stands for science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And they put their finished products on display for their family STEAM night. Families came for a fun pizza dinner and then participated in more STEAM activities around the building. It was a great night had by all. Palms Elementary started a positive behavior program to recognize kids with polar pride, kids that are being ready, respectful, and responsible citizens in their school. Tickets can be given by any of the school employees to students that exhibit these behaviors. Students put their tickets into a positive behavior bucket in the office. Names are drawn on Friday to receive a Polar Pride bracelet. At the end of each month, these kids will get to have lunch with the principal at the Palms Polar Cafe, which is a special place created on the stage in the cafeteria. Christina Malberg and Kika Mulligan at Palms celebrated their night of cultural creations, and it was a blast. Each child had a piece of artwork framed and on display for families to see. Families could purchase these pieces as well. The inspiration for these pieces were taught in both Mrs. Malberg's Spanish classes as well as Mrs. Mulligan's art classes. The students should be so proud of their work. Pamela Young, a Marine City Middle School science teacher and head coach for the Science Olympiad, took the Science Olympiad team to a competition at the Macomb Regional on Saturday, March 16th. The team placed 9th in the region, with individual groups earning medals in seven different events. Great job, Mariners. Paul Dimmer of Marine City High School, a science teacher, had his Science Olympiad team place 3rd in the regionals, finishing only behind huge Sterling Heights-Stevenson and Utica Eisenhower schools. Go Mariners. Scott Isley, a tech teacher at St. Clair Middle School, took his robotics club to many competitions over the weekend. Dave Klutz, a social studies teacher at St. Clair High School, had his students qualify in the mock trial to go to the state competition by winning their regionals. Unfortunately, that state competition is over our spring break, so I think the seniors are spring breaking it instead. I don't know. Michelle Natchke, a Spanish teacher and ELL consultant, and Brooke Nowakowski, a Spanish and art teacher at Eddy and Gearing, hosted the International Festival at Gearing Elementary for elementary students throughout the district on Thursday, March 14th. Students had the chance to try cultural foods, make crafts, and play games. 21 different countries were represented, and many East China School District families and exchange students shared their heritage. Kristen Humble, Jessica Simmons, and Mary Beth Faba brought their high school language students to contribute to the event. Other East China School District staff who volunteered in the event were Stephanie Visna, Christina Malberg, Nicole Flynn, Giovanna Betty, Phil Russell, and Paula Bradley. On the topic of multiculturalism and bilingualism, did you know that 102 teachers in our district have English learners or multi-language students in their classrooms? We also have 18 languages spoken in addition to English in our district. Palms and Eddie did a one book, one school activity for March's Reading Month. Both schools read The Lemonade War and sold lemonade to raise money for charities. Sixth graders in Barb Smith's science classes at Marine City Middle School engaged in a magnetic levitation challenge. The students were given a rectangular-shaped piece of styrofoam to design a car. Each student was able to use a styrofoam cutter to change the shape to be more aerodynamic. Then the students were given 2 magnetic strips to place on the bottom of their car. If the magnets were well placed, their car would speed or float down the 250-centimeter magnetic track. Students had fun designing and timing their cars. After each car was timed, there was a final speed competition where one car from each class was declared the magnetic levitation champion. Scott Fryer of Marine City Middle School and Micah Volz of St. Clair High School are in charge of our bands, and they are hosting the combined middle school and high school annual spaghetti dinner on Wednesday, March 20th at St. Clair Middle School from 5 to 8. Dinner at St. Clair High School. All the pasta you can eat. The event also features the 6th through 12th grade band students playing at various times and lots of pasta. Oh, it's at St. Clair Middle School? Oh, St. Clair Middle School, sorry. St. Clair Middle School. That's where the pasta is. 5 to 8. Okay? Okay, and as Pat Biebuck mentioned, Amanda Volz, she's married now, Pat. Not Amanda Lipke. Amanda Volz. That's okay. That's okay. That's why I'm here, Pat. That's why I'm here. I'm going to share the same information that you did. It's amazing. Her financial management students participated in an online simulation called the H&R Block Budget Challenge. It's a 9-week simulation and competition where students are challenged to build a budget that allows them to pay bills, manage debt, and invest money in a 401k. And congratulations go out to Ann Harris, who placed number 3 out of over 100,000 national participating students and won a $20,000 scholarship. It's amazing. Congratulations, Ann and Amanda. Over the past 5 years, Mrs. Volz's students have won over $300,000 in scholarships by participating in the H&R Block Budget Challenge, and more importantly, they have learned about personal finance in a hands-on, interactive way. So, dinner on Wednesday. Talk to Ann Harris about investing your money because she knows what to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Nancy.
Sorry, everybody. Okay, the next green card I have is for Alan Richley.
Madam President, members of the board, my fellow citizens, I'm here this evening to discuss the proposed massive tax increase for an over $140 million school on the May ballot. But before I begin, I want to be very clear as to why I'm here this evening. What I'm not here to do is to speak directly to the board and to try and convince you one way or another on this issue. We already know that your minds were made up from the very beginning of this process, so speaking to you any further would be like speaking to that wall over there. What I am here to do is to speak directly to the citizens of the East China School District, because we face a critical choice in this election, one that will have consequences for decades to come. According to ballot language submitted to the Michigan Department of Treasury and the St. Clair County Clerk's Office, the average estimated tax increase for 28 years will be 3.86 mils. Numbers provided from SEMCOG show that the average home taxable value is at $100,000. This increase will be an additional $327.80. That's a 119% increase. That's not including the many local taxes ranging from 23 to 40 mills, according to the St. Clair County Treasurer's Office. Most of us can afford this tax increase, but there are many struggling. 27% of our district students depend on free and reduced lunch for a meal. In some schools, that number is north of 50%, especially in Marine City. A higher than average rate of our population lives in poverty. What about the single mom living paycheck to paycheck to provide for her children? Or the retiree that lives on a fixed income and has to decide between their next meal or prescriptions? For them, this is not an option. The premise of the entire argument to consolidate is based on declining enrollment. Numbers provided from the school district are from 2001 to present. What they fail to mention is that from 1989 to present, the enrollment has actually increased at the high school and middle school levels. In St. Clair, that's a 38% increase. In Marine City, 9%. According to the National Center for Education Statistics, the average high school size is 752 students. St. Clair has well over 800, Marine City over 500. According to a study conducted from the University of Michigan, they have concluded that the ideal school size for a high school is between 600 and 900 students. This proposal pushes well past that mark. If this proposal is to pass for the first time ever, there will be no schools within the city of St. Clair and Marine City, and there will be over 2,400 students stuffed into one building, making it one of the largest in the state of Michigan. There are idle threats to parents and taxpayers. If this proposal does not pass, the board will consolidate anyway. I call your bluff. It's not logistically possible. Why do you have to threaten voters and parents on this issue? Is it that it can't pass on its merits? On May 7th, we need to send a direct and clear message to this board. One, that our students are not up for grabs. Our schools are not for sale, and neither is our future. Not now, not ever. We have a choice in this election. We can either continue down yet the same failed path, or we can change course. We can continue to subsidize stupidity, or we can once and for all say enough is enough. My fellow citizens, make no mistake. These individuals have forgotten why they're here. And well, I think it's high time we remind them. That being said, I strongly urge you all to get out and exercise your right to vote in this May 7th election, and I humbly await your decision. Thank you.
Okay, my next green card is for Mr. Jeff Cook. Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks for asking.
Good evening, board members and our superintendent. My name is Jeff Cook. I'm a resident of the school district. I live in China Township, and I have a daughter who attends St. Clair High School. First, I'd like to thank the board for the opportunity for members of the community to speak in this open format. I've come here tonight in an effort to clarify comments that have been blasted across social media from a former member of this body, Mr. Alan Richley. These comments relate directly to the upcoming millage requests that will be held on the ballot May 7th, asking residents to approve a $1.48 million bond to build infrastructure and update infrastructure in an effort to right-size the district. Mr. Richley, as he has done many times before, is fervently campaigning on social media against this effort. I'm not here to speak about his right to vote no. He can vote however he chooses, and it is no secret how he will vote. Instead, I'm here to address the inaccuracies that he's paraded on social media as fact, while also speaking negatively about the school board, our superintendent of schools, our administration, our teachers, and the many community members that came together to put the best recommendation they could before the board to address the infrastructure needs of our district. Mr. Richley has repeatedly said that the Board of Education and the superintendent have threatened voters, and he's stated that they are trying to bamboozle the community. When others reply to his posts in an effort to address his lack of knowledge, his inability to do simple mathematical computations, his FOIA requests that result in misinformation because he fails to ask the right question, and addressing outright deception, He deletes those responses and immediately blocks community members from presenting real data and factual information. He is rude and disrespectful to this Board of Education. He speaks incessantly about transparency, but provides no transparency himself. He wants to create and control a false narrative. He has many followers that encourage him to continue his quest against the district and applaud him for bringing truth to the light, his truth. He has every right to post whatever he wants. In fact, he has a right to lie if he chooses. That said, as citizens of this community, we need to take a stand and respectfully take him to task by ensuring that regardless of how anybody votes on May 7th, it's based on the facts and the merit that's been presented to this board. It's better for the people of our district, and it's better for the students of our district. I'd like to touch on just a couple of examples so that we can understand better these misconceptions that he puts out there. I'm just going to start with the one that he brought up when he spoke. Talked about the explosion in the population of the East China School District in 1989 and how the numbers at the high school increased by 38% at St. Clair High School and 9% at Moraine City High School. The fact was, the numbers didn't increase at all. In 1989, the East China School District moved 9th grade back to high school when it previously was in the junior high. So that huge population explosion was the result of the 9th graders becoming high school students instead of spending another year in the middle school. The district didn't grow. There weren't more seats created. All it was a shifting of kids from one building to another building. That was his population explosion that happened in the district. What that is nothing but funny math. So, he says, the school district leadership in East China is threatening to consolidate high schools and middle schools, even if we, the people, don't approve it on May 7th, when the tax election will occur. Many others have echoed this threat. They say it's a done deal, and this isn't even going to be a discussion. And he says that he calls your bluff. This is not the question that is in front of the voters of the East China School District. This is not a vote to consolidate or not. It is a vote to support a bond request by the district from its voters, or to not support it. No threats have been made. The district has been proactive for several years in an effort to inform our school community of the effects of declining enrollment and aging infrastructure. To say there hasn't been a discussion regarding this decision is a flat-out lie. The district has held multiple community meetings and created committees to make recommendations that included members of the community, members of the school district, administrators, and board members. One example. Another example. He goes on social media to rip the current president of the school board, who was quoted in an article in 2014 in the Times Herald as saying, "I think Moraine City Middle School is maxed out as it is. Having gone through Riverview East discussion," she said, "I don't like that idea at all regarding moving the 5th graders. It's already low on science labs." Now, what that has to do with anything, I'm not quite sure, but the point that I think I really just want to state here is our current president of the board has absolutely every right to change her opinion. She has the right to gain further knowledge and to investigate and research and decide for herself that her opinion of 5 years ago may not be the same opinion that it is now, and some of that might just be based in the fact that the situation has gotten worse. It hasn't gotten better. Alan again. This threat is to move all the high school students to the Moraine City High School Middle School campus, the very south end of the district, while using St. Clair High School as the district middle school. Just again, pointing out, it's not a threat. It's actually the district informing the school community that it must right size and close buildings in an effort to remain financially solvent, which the state demands, and failure to do so will result in the state administering the district and making the decisions instead of the people of our community making the decisions. Yes, it can feel like a very uncomfortable conversation right now, but reality doesn't make it a threat. It makes it a serious situation that must be addressed. In a FOIA request, Mr. Richley contacted the state of Michigan because he didn't believe that the state of Michigan can come in and take over a district. Well, he worded his FOIA request incorrectly, and he got the information that he asked for, which had nothing to do with his statements. So for the people in the audience, and I'm sure as many of the people the board knows, the state will come in and take over a district if they are not financially solvent. And to highlight that, currently, there are 17 school districts in the state of Michigan on that list. The state of Michigan, the Department of Treasury, is running that school district. Bay City Academy, Beecher Community Schools, Benton Harbor Area Schools, Detroit Public Safety Academy, Gwynn Area Schools, Hazel Park Schools, Highland Park Schools, Mount Clemens Community School District, Pinckney Community Schools, Pontiac City Schools, South Lake Schools, and Vanderbilt Area Schools. That's not fiction. That's not made up. That's fact. Those school districts are being ran by the state of Michigan, not by their community, not by their school board. I'd also like to just finish up by talking a little bit about the type of person that's coming before the board and speaking, and the type of person who's outwardly bashing our district, our community, our parents, our kids, our families, the people who have worked really, really hard for this district in many, many ways. This is a young man who himself has a hard time with integrity. In 2015, his LinkedIn account said that he was a Michigan State University graduate with a degree in economics and government. He does not have a Michigan State University diploma. He has no degree in economics or government. That's just flat out lying. It's false, it's untrue information. He also, in 2015, while he was going out of his way to mistreat fellow board members, was censured by the board, and a member of the community came forward to inform the Board of Education that he, in fact, had just had a PPO filed against him for inappropriate behavior. His then girlfriend had stated he made up false accounts on Facebook. He spoke for himself through my account. That is not integrity. That is not the type of person we should be listening to. That is a person who needs to understand they don't know what they're talking about. That's all I have to say. I appreciate your time, and I do encourage people to vote on May 7th, and please, please make sure that you get true, accurate information that's vetted, that isn't just surface level, and that's honest, so that our voters can really make the best decision possible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our next item on the agenda is our information and discussion items. And we have the Assistant Superintendent of Personnel report by Dawn Dimick, our kindergarten roundup.
Good evening, President Frank, members of the board, and Superintendent Cybula. We had the distinct privilege last week of welcoming very excited, smiling faces here to the boardroom for kindergarten registration. They had popcorn, cotton candy, played games, and more importantly, we got them registered for kindergarten. We had 184 students who came through and were registered. Based on our 3-year average of 76% of those attending kindergarten actually being here in the fall, we can project 242 kindergartners will register or be enrolled in the fall. That's compared to the 260 kindergartners that we have this year, so it is a drop of about 18 students from what we have this year. More significantly and more concerning is that's 242 incoming kindergartners and 340 graduating seniors. So that's 98 student difference between the incoming kindergartners versus the graduating seniors. So that's a significant cut to the budget, significant decline in enrollment, so it's just continuing of what we have seen over the years, unfortunately. It's not just the district. Bridge Magazine last week, I don't know if you've seen that, came out and said there is an 18.2% decrease in birth rates in the state of Michigan over the last several years. Only second to the state of Illinois. St. Clair County is 16%. So we can expect that this decline in enrollment will continue. And again, we will watch it closely and do what we need to mitigate those losses. But we are still welcoming kindergartners, so if there's any other 4-year-olds out there that want to come in and register, we are available to do that anytime, Monday through Friday. So they just need to come into the enrollment office, and we will continue to take enrollment over the summer as well. Any questions?
When you said that there's going to be about 98 less students coming in than we're graduating, can you just give us, doesn't have to be the exact number, but just a range of the financial impact to the district with that difference?
At about $8,000 a student times 90, yeah. So it's significant, about 800,000.
Yep.
So it is a significant loss, unfortunately. And again, these are just projections, but that 76% is based on the average of the last 3 years of who attended Roundup versus how many enrolled over the summer.
Any more questions?
Thank you very much. Sorry.
Thanks,
I
Dawn.
just want to make a quick comment. It was really an interesting, fun, exciting kindergarten roundup, and I appreciate all the work that Dawn put into that, so thank you.
It's one of the fun things.
It was
Yeah.
fun.
Is Kirk here?
Yes, he is.
Okay, our next item is, well, Kirk Kozolka is on here 4 times, so he has custodial service bids, landscape bids, transportation bids, and trash removal and recycling bids.
And I've asked Kirk just to come forward this evening to answer any questions you may have had regarding the bids for each one of those services.
Been a little busy, huh, Kirk?
Yes. Is there any questions related to the bidding of the services?
Yeah, I had one, Kurt.
Sure.
What are the warranties provided on the new school buses that we're getting?
The bumper-to-bumper warranty is 1 year, but some of the other items extend beyond that, like the emissions control items are like 5 years.
And what has been, non-warranty repair costs on the newer buses, I would say?
I would have to ask Larry to speak on that. He might have some more details for the bus repairs.
Good evening.
Good evening.
What was the question again for the?
I was just wondering what the average repair cost, would be on these buses. We're kind of sticking with one company and one type of bus.
The average repair for the warranty, we don't really have to do anything for the 5 years for the emissions, which covers your exhaust, your DPF filters, your DEF systems. We did have a couple this year that gave us some hard times, but it doesn't cost the district anything. We just have to figure it out. The engines have 5-year warranty also through Cummins. That's the reason why we go through the Cummins engine compared to gas, where they'll try to give you a 3-year warranty, but you're going to be replacing the gas engine within 5 years. So we get every bit of 10 years out of our engines and no problems when we sell them.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Kirk?
I just had one regarding
Sure.
the bus driver. Would Kirk handle that, Suzanne?
It depends on your question. It could be Tina, Dawn, or Kirk.
Well, they're all here.
It was with respect to the contract bus drivers. I was just wondering about the turnover that we experienced there and how we review those individuals.
As far as contract bus drivers, a majority of our drivers, even with the contractor, have been with us since the inception of the METS contract. There are those 3, most recent hires that do turn over. Unfortunately, they go on to other districts or they have other jobs. But for the most part, we've been pretty consistent. We're trying to keep our sub-drivers, just like all of our sub-positions. We do have some turnover in that because they get full-time positions. So really our turnover concern is more in the sub-drivers than the regular drivers.
So is the average driver 1 year, 3 years?
Oh, I would say probably Well, we started this contract, I believe it was in 2014, and I would say all of them, with the exception about 5 or 6 of the most recent, have been here since that time. And then just the turnover, like I said, with the sub-drivers.
Okay. And how are drivers reviewed? I mean,
Well, the contract drivers are reviewed by their employer, which is METS. Our bus drivers that we have that are district employees are reviewed by the transportation supervisor.
okay. Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome.
Anybody else? All set, Mike?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, then, Tina, for 2019 bus purchase and food service bids, please.
Good evening. More RFPs. So as everyone may recall, we passed a bond in 2014 for $2.8 million to purchase buses. The initial plan was to purchase 5 buses each year for 5 years. Now we are approaching our 5th year of bus purchases, and including this 2019 purchase, we would have purchased a total of 23 buses utilizing $2.19 million. And this is leaving us with an approximate remaining fund balance of $574,000. And this should purchase 5 to 6 buses depending on our needs and what we decide. And we plan on purchasing them over 2020 and 2021. Now, the district continues to utilize the MSBO Build-A-Bus. And it's a cooperative program where we will go out there and identify the type of bus and our needs, and then various companies will then submit their bid. We receive bids from Hoekstra, Holland, and Midwest Transit. Midwest Transit provided a bid for the international buses. And this is, you might have picked up on Larry's comment. We try to purchase the same type of bus so that our repairs are in line. The repair equipment that we purchase, we're only stocking from the same type of bus. So they submitted a unit bus price of $90,707. So based off of that, we are recommending that you award us so we can purchase 4 77-passenger transit international buses equipped with storage, I apologize, for a total of $362,000, $828 to Midwest Transit. Is there any questions on the buses? I think I had provided in your bid packet significantly more information. Okay, moving on to food service. So the district is currently in our final year of our food service management contract with Chartwells. The MDE, they monitor everything that you do with food service. And they required that this district go out for an RFP for our food service. I solicited the proposals to provide an external independent food service management service in a cost reimbursing contract for a 1 year plus 4 one-year renewal options, including a full-time manager, and this company would provide all staffing needs other than our current new needs. Now, a cost reimbursement contract, we are reimbursing them for their cost of their management plus an administrative fee. So all the food, that is all of our costs. So it's basically just the administrative cost that is on top of, that is associated with the contract. I held a mandatory pre-bid meeting on March 8th. 3 companies attended: Chartwells, Southwest Food Service Excellence, and the Nutrition Group. We toured a few of the cafeterias. We went over the specs of the bid, and I received various questions. I only received 1 bid as a result of that meeting, and that was from Chartwells. Both Southwest Food Service Excellence and the Nutrition Group declined to offer a bid. The bid that I received from Chartwells is reflecting a 20% reduction on the current annual administration fee. And that summed about $18,000 reduction to their fees. And their management per meal served remained stable at just over 5 cents per meal. Is there any questions on the food service?
I I just had one. Is there a nutritional element to the bid?
Not to the bid. It is purely just associated around the cost of providing the services. But the service company is required to follow all the state guidelines for the nutrition.
And how do they validate that?
Well, this question is, how do they validate to make sure that you are maintaining all the nutritional requirements?
Oh, we actually are audited. We have to submit our menus. We are actually having an audit on Wednesday.
Okay.
So yearly there's some things, but they come on site every 3 years as well.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tina.
Okay, our next item is an action item. The recommended action is per administration's recommendation. The Board of Education approves the Neola policy changes as presented at the February 25th, 2019 Board of Education meeting. Motion is needed.
So moved.
Support.
Is there any discussion on this? Any questions about the Neola policies? No, anybody? Okay, so all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. All right, our items for the next board meeting will be our winter athletic awards, and at this time, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.